Well, the new borders we've planted here over the last 2 months have really come into their own very rapidly. Just stop for 1 second and have a look back on some of the videos we did back in the end of April, where this was a really quite uninspiring pile of mud and concrete debris from the swimming pool that sat on this site. We've now got this Quadrant design of garden. All the topsoil was brought round from a paddock where we'd just scraped the paddock grass back to harvest some of the topsoil to get the levels right in here. So it was really paddock soil rather than topsoil. It hadn't had any previous cultivation or organic material put in it at all. It was clay, it was cloggy, it was really quite sour in places. The first thing we had to do was try to improve that, so it had a 3-inch covering of mushroom compost, which really has transformed the soil into a really nice tilth. And just look at these plants, they seem to be growing away wonderfully. We've bought a huge amount of rose plants. Kate's planted this up on a colour theme, so this is the corner border with whites, purples and mauves, combination of underplantings with peonies, loads of astrantia. We've got a lot of our homegrown perennial geranium in here that's coming up, and these catmints that she showed you earlier in a separate video that have been cultivated just from stem cuttings pulled off old plants. Got the various stages of developments. Really impressive, this planting down the centre. These plants are only 2 months old now and flowering away as if they've been here forever. And this has looked like this really for about 3 or 4 weeks now. The younger plants, to complete this planting on the cross shape right the way up this pathway, are just coming on now. These plants were put in probably about 8 weeks, maybe, no, less than that. I'm saying 8 weeks, probably only 5 weeks ago. They take about 2 to 3 weeks before they start bushing up, and then in a week after that you start getting the first flush of flowers, which then continue probably for about 2 months, I hope, with these. We're watering regularly, obviously, because this is all a new planting. Plenty of delphiniums gone in. The roses will run you through later. Most of them have finished their June flush now and are just growing away. Got some healthy tips coming on most of them, indicating that the roots are getting their feel for the soil conditions and liking it. The Philadelphus plant that was one of the original plantings just on the back of the cottage was split into 4, and we're pretty confident 3 of the 4 have taken. The largest one, which we thought was going to be the easiest in this position, probably left far too much top on it for the root that came out, and that's got quite a bit of dieback, but it's still green, and I still think if we can keep this wet and watered, we're going to get away with it and have that repeat design in this border with the 4 Philadelphus plants. Along the front we've got this marvellous planting now just coming to the end, sold as Nerines but flowering in June. Couldn't quite believe it. I think they were probably mislabelled and they're probably Nerine agapanthus crosses, but we'll see. They may have just been heat treated to bring them into flower earlier, or put in a chiller. I don't know how you'd go about tricking them to think that it was September or October when these really should be flowering. But the effect, we managed to get enough of them to give this long run display down the side of this border, and from the cottage coming round, looking through them with the long effect. It's really very pleasing. It's picked up in the white delphinium and then in the white scabious behind it, with a repeat planting of the white delphinium, and on the rose arch at the back that we've extended along, got this wonderful old planting that's been here for years of the rambling roses. There's all sorts in there. We don't know exactly what varieties they are. They predate us. They've been here probably for 40 or 50 years. Appreciating my local pigeon stop-off point. Getting very cheeky, these fellas, but it's their favourite spot for a drink and a quick bath. Pigeons have done very well here this year, as have the collared doves that have bred in the barns. We've had 2 or 3 nests raised 2 chicks. They just love it. Nice to see them as well. Don't need a concrete or metal pigeon here. We've got the real things coming in to drink. I'll show you this tomorrow when we've got the sun coming up on it. It's really bursting with colour. We're hoping to get another flush. A lot of these roses were repeat flowering varieties. We've tended historically to go for the older varieties that tend to give you just that single big flush. But really, in this border being so close to the house, we really want to be able to have replete floribunda roses, many of which are now coming to look like the old quartered or quadrant roses that we love so much, and they are scented as well, a lot of them. Some new varieties coming on the market which really are impressive and worth growing. So we're very pleased. To think this garden's just 2 months old is unbelievable, really. And to think that there was that old swimming pool here, and then for 6 months just broken up concrete, and then the soil was in such a poor state before we improved it. It's incredible to see just how lush and green it's all looking in such a young planting. Thanks for watching.